All right, so with our handsome Mr. Teddy, ready, Sarah? We're going to continue with a little bit of some of our loose leash walking. So I know we were just spewing about equipment and, again, why methods kind of matter and all of that lovely content. But remember, if we don't work on the how-to first, equipment won't really matter in the sense of changing behavior for the long haul. So what I mean by that is if we're always looking to something to fix that problem, we more than likely haven't, his snacks keep getting stuck in his jowls, then we more than likely haven't actually worked well enough with how to teach the response before needing it in the real world. So for Mr. T right now, we're working with creating this association of being by the handler, by the leg is where the right spot might be for when working with loose leash walking and being more focused on the handler. If, for example, you're doing a sniffy walk mixed in with some focus on you, I think that's a really great option. Ready? So like with Mr. B, Mom was mentioning like he's been doing a really great job on the longer training lead, and he's been able to engage with focusing on them, but then also going and exploring the environment. Excuse me, seltzer. So you may find that for Mr. Handsome over here, Mr. T, working a little bit with your 6 foot, and then at times, oh my gosh, chew them. And then at times also working with a longer training lead. But remember, if he is working on the head collar and practicing that, I would highly recommend to have him just only on a 6 foot leash if you're doing the headgear. Otherwise, you would want to use the longer leads or like a flexi or anything like that if you prefer a flexi versus a training leash, like a drag line or a long 15 to 20 footer one when it comes to the training gear, then I would recommend to hook him up to his body harness. Yes. So right here, we're just going to create, he's like, hold up, I can't walk and chew, is we're just creating a really nice association with this handsome guy being intimate and focusing on me. If you're finding that your food is always low like this, remember that we want to go from luring the puppy or, for example, bribing, as some people would call it, to instead paycheck, where we're feeding him for the work earned and done. And then he would get that lovely paycheck in return after the work was complete. So for right now, I'm just doing a couple little fine to get him up and wiggling. Ready? So in the beginning, the food may have been near your puppy's nose to hone him in. He's like, I would like to go lay down again. And as he gets more refined, you would again have the hand out of range. You might be taking a couple lovely steps with him. He's engaged with me, and I'm going to go ahead and feed him for being by the side. So my hand is now no longer down. It might be up and moving or doing its own thing. And eventually then you're just going to capture these lovely little moments for while he's by your side. So loose leash walking is not going to be like a pristine heel like you'd be doing in, let's say, an obedience program or, for example, an obedience ring. Oh, that's some good slime. Thank you. Delicious. Oh my gosh, chew them. So we're going to get that little sitting. He's like, lady, my brain has melted. Ready? Down. What a smart boy. So when working with more upper level like obedience, you could definitely get into more fun skills like, contact heel and working some rally and other fun things if you're ever inclined to do so. You might just instead, as a pet parent, want to just have a dog that's soft on gear, doesn't pull, is safe to move and bring around, and that's a great goal. So this concept of seeing someone doing like insane contact healing, a lot of times maybe that's nothing that you want to go down that road, and that's okay. So it all just comes down to what you might find fun for you and the dog. For some dogs, some of that work is not so fun. So definitely pick and choose what you think might be beneficial for your relationship. So right here, I'm going to go ahead and tell him to stay, and we're going to work a little bit with the stationary position, and I'm going to add a little bit of movement. See if Mr. T can rock a little bit with being still while I'm just wiggling and or blabbing off in the distance. Yes. I also have noticed that Mr. T's toenails, and that's all right, so just like earlier with Mr. Z, if we have a little breaking moment, we're just going to reset him up. Oh, I dropped on that one. Maybe have to find him later. Ready? Down. So what I was mentioning is a lot of times toenails are also really important. So things that get overlooked in dogs, toenails, as well as, for example, ears and typically teeth. So his teeth, of course, look beautiful because he's still a baby. He's got pearly whites. But what a lot of folks don't realize is that behaviorally, if something is not maintained and looked over, it can be something that causes behavioral troubles down the road. So oral health in dogs is something that is very much so overlooked. And what can end up happening is there could be an infection, and then that can turn into a blood-borne, problem and then spread throughout the body. Two, remember that about 80% of reactivity cases are stemming from a place of feeling unwell or having pain. So there's like an ailment as simple as a toothache, but it could also be, for example, allergies, or it could be maybe, for example, there's joint injuries or arthritis. Ready? We're going to try and get that lovely down again. Mr. T says he's just getting very tired. So, but I've noticed his toenails are getting a little bit longer. Ready? We got to rock that down. He's like, my brain is melted, lady. Nice. What a good boy. So we're going to rock a little bit with our stay right here. He's like, nope, can't compute. So let's say, for example, maybe Mr. T is just not feeling it. So we're going to do a few find its, help his body get into motion. If being stationary for right now is a little bit challenging, I'm going to work with him, not against him. So ready? Find it. So maybe what we'll do is we'll do a few find its with recall. Teddy, come. Yes. So, but his toes are not terrible, but there is quite a bit that you could take off before it hits towards the quick, which is like the blood vessel within the nail. So we would want to make sure, Teddy, come. Maintenance for the nails is really crucial because if they get too long, the quick also starts to go quicker. Grows deeper into the nail, which makes it harder to clip them shorter again later. So if, for example, toes aren't maintained, it can affect, again, your dog's gait, the way they hold themselves, and then cause trouble in the sense of pain or changes in movement, which could lead to behavioral trouble. So I know it doesn't seem like he's going to go drink the slimiest water bowl. That one's a little bit swampy. I just refilled the other one, but both of them taste really good. Teddy, come. What a good boy. That was a good recall. So he was all the way at the other end of the room. Yes, good job. Smart boy. Good job. Oh, it fell out. That's all right. You can find that later. So if though, for example, we are sometimes a little bit unsure on how to keep toes in good alignment or in good check, a lot of times veterinarians, they are more than happy to help you with toe trimming, like when it comes to their toenails. You could, for example, there are some really awesome groomers or different folks that will offer nail trimming services. I would just make sure that whatever person or environment that you pick, make sure it's one that will go at your puppy's rate. If, for example, we are rushing steps and we're forcing it to finish all of the toes at once, we may be, for example, creating more of a troubled moment for nail trims for down the road. So remember, just like with us, if we were forced to do something and it didn't feel comfortable to us and we were made to do so, and we lose out on our ability to say no thanks, or I'm not comfortable with this, you're going to create a situation where every time you go to do that thing, it's going to get harder and harder because it feels more and more out of control for the dog, and it's technically forced and it's scary. So definitely take a peek, see over some of the cooperative care. You ready? Find it. Because if he's maybe for right now doing okay with touching his toes and working his toenails, that's great. But we want to keep maintaining that. So ready? Teddy, come. Yes. Oh my gosh, chew them. What a smart boy. Ready? We'll do another find it. Ready? Teddy, come. Oh, what a smart man. Yes. Good job. What a good job. Ready? Find it. So right now we're just getting him up and moving. I wanted him to, if let's say he was struggling with being stationary, maybe some motion would help for a moment. Ready? Maybe we'll try a little bit with a sit. Ready? Sit. Yes. And then maybe we'll try a little wait. Teddy, come. Yes. Good job. What a smart boy. We'll do a little find it again, get him up and wiggling. He's definitely getting tired. He's like, lady, I didn't even see where that went. He's got to use his sniffer, which sometimes is a little harder for some. Ready? He's like, nope, I think I found it. I think that's a hairball, but that's okay. Teddy's shedding, and that's allowed, so don't worry. So if, let's say, I was trying to get my puppy's attention, but he wasn't quite as honed in, he might actually have to sneak out for a little potty shortly too. But no, now he found his snack. Nice job, Mr. T. He did just go out in between the filming as well, because I like to make sure that since they're always typically very hydrated, they're always like plopping their whole faces into the water dishes, that we have a lot of potty breaks. Ready? Teddy. Come. Oh my gosh, chew it. Yes. So maybe now we'll try a little bit with our bed. Ready? We'll lure him on. Nice. We'll get that little sort of down position. See if he can rock it now. Yes. What a good boy. So now I might tell him to stay, and he's like, oh, still so hard. So if he wants to do a sit stay, just like I mentioned a little bit earlier for Mr. Z, I don't care if they're working sits or downs. The main goal is that we're just building in some duration with some easy peasy practice. So right here, I'm going to stay nearby, because today he's just a little bit more of a wiggly worm. He's maybe having a harder time being stationary. Maybe there's a growth spurt and he feels uncomfortable. So right now, I'm just working time frame. I'm working that duration. If this was going amazing, maybe I would increase my duration every 5 to 10, 15 seconds between each rep. If this was not going so hot, I would keep it shorter. But let's say he's doing a great job. I might tell him to stay. I might add a little bit of movement. I'm not going to make it too hard. I know he says this is really hard. Because I don't want to make it where every time we try something, he doesn't either understand or it gets really hard on his end and confuses him. So right here, we're going to feed again for this lovely stay, even if it's a sitting position versus his down. It's so sad when the food gets stuck in his jowls. Oh, see, now we're going to relax. Okay, that's beautiful. Yes. So there could be moments too where sometimes you just kind of have to let them figure it out. And right here, he's finally like going and taking a little pause. So we're going to make this into a nice big deal for him and feed him several reps for lying down on his dog bed and building some nice value here. He's like, oh my gosh, so pooped out. And I did make sure to bring out the bigger dog bed this time, so that way our gigantic, handsome man can fit, though his tail fell off, but that's okay. I know. He's like, maybe you were going to throw one. That was my bad. So again, we might try again for that little down. He's like, oh my goodness, lady. He is getting so tired. There we go. Nice. Gorgeous. You just pooped out. You can take a break. We can be all done. So if, for example, he is having a harder time, you do not always have to end on like the behavior or the thing you were working on like in a good way. So what I mean by that is not like you want it to be negative or scary or intimidating. But if, let's say, you were trying to work on stays and your puppy's like, this is the dumbest thing ever, and they just kind of like walked away or they kept, having a hard time, if you force it upon them and say like, no, you're going to do a downstay, gosh darn it, and then you get more agitated and frustrated and annoyed, you may actually ruin your stay position. So you want to make sure that if he's being like disobedient, it's more than likely he either doesn't understand, he's done for the day, maybe he's having a growth spurt. So I always think of behaviorally what could be going on as to why can my dog not function. If he is really he's laying in the puddle. So if he's really having a rough day, maybe it's just not the greatest day for training, and that could be okay too. So just like with us, we may wake up one day and feel ready to rumble. The next day be like, nope, I'm all set. I want to go back into my bedroom and go right back to bed. So your dog should still have the ability to say like, I'm ready or I'm not so interested, and be able to have training be coming from both ends. So, but Mr. T is so exhausted, he's now laying in the corner right next to the water dish, and while laying down, he's having a nice big drink. So we'll give Mr. T a little breather. He did a very nice job. We'll call it a day for the handsome man. We'll have some wrestles in between some of the some of the filming.